Welcome back to the Rave Social Podcast. I'm your host, Jaiden, and today we have a very special guest, Ashley Cruz Arata. She is a board-certified integrative health practitioner specializing in thyroid and hormone disorders. She helps women 35 plus who've been dismissed in conventional care settings drop hormonal weight and reclaim their energy when nothing else has worked without overhauling their entire life. After years of being told her labs were normal while dealing with fatigue, 40 pounds of weight gain, and brain fog, and a partial thyroidectomy that made things worse before they got better, she turned to functional medicine and never looked back. We're so excited to have Ashley here today. Welcome.
Thank you, Jaiden, for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about something. I know the listeners are going to love this, but we're going to be talking about women's hormone health. You kind of got the vibe from Ashley's intro, what we're getting into. But first, I want to start with your story because obviously, you became a practitioner after a lot of this went down. Can you take us back to the season when you knew things weren't right, but your providers were just like, everything's normal. Everything's normal.
I absolutely can. And I will tell you the theme of the season is confusing, which is probably relatable to a lot of women who might be feeling a little off in their body right now, but they're not really sure why. And they've also been told, you're good. Everything's fine at the doctor. All your labs are normal. So I had a precancerous tumor removed in 2023. But let me rewind a little bit because my story actually started in 2019. So I ended up in the ER from a ski accident. I slipped on black ice, hit my head, blurry vision, all that. Had to go to the ER, got a CAT scan just to make sure I didn't injure my brain. And they were like, oh, hey, by the way, while you were in there, we also saw these lumps on your thyroid. They're called nodules. They're super common. All women have them. We just start telling you because we're going to put in a referral for an ENT so you can go get them biopsied to make sure they're not cancer. But don't worry, they're almost always benign. And I was just like, okay, no big deal. Just one thing to add to the list. So I do that. I get them checked. And these nodules, which are proliferation of thyroid tissue, so they're growths on your thyroid, which actually are caused by chronic inflammation and autoimmune triggers. They were benign until they weren't. In 2023, I had some changes in my symptoms and a repeat biopsy showed that the tissue was now precancerous. So I had no choice but to have half my thyroid cut out to remove them. And when I had my surgery, I came out, I was handed thyroid medication, third most prescribed drug in America, by the way. Around 23 million people wake up and take thyroid medication in the United States every single day, the majority of which are women.
That's insane.
It is insane. It's more than the population of New York State. If you think about that, that's how many people are waking up and popping these pills. And I was handed a script for it and said, all good, you're going to be fine. We got the tumor out. Here's thyroid medication to make up for what you can't produce on your own anymore. And you're going to be golden. I was not golden. I gained 40 pounds. My husband earned a Nobel Peace Prize during this time for not divorcing me. My raginess was so out of control. I literally lost my shit on him one night at a Mexican restaurant because they ran out of red sauce in the kitchen. And so they gave me green sauce on my enchiladas. It was out of control, Jaiden. I lost a third of my hair. I couldn't sleep. I was having breakdowns in the bathroom at work. I had a really high pressure job. I traveled for work a ton. So it was not normal. It was not okay. And so it was a very confusing time, though, because I was, through that entire process, continuously told by my endocrine oncologist and my care team, your labs are normal. There's nothing else we can do for you. Just take a little more thyroid medication if you need it, and eventually the weight will come off, but it never did.
Oh my. And you're just like, cool. I feel insane. I don't like or maybe you liked your body. I don't know. Your body is changing. All these things are happening. And you're just like, I guess this is normal. Like, I'm just frustrated, but you have no answers. Like,
yeah,
that is insane. That's insane.
It was insane. And it's the lived experience of so many women.
Yeah. I feel like I have heard familiar stories before, like of this happening to women. So what happened when you were like, this isn't normal? What the fuck? Something has to change.
Yeah. So I had started doing some of my own research about really, okay, what is the thyroid responsible for? How is this all connected? How is it connected? If so, I became aware of what functional medicine actually is. And for anyone who's listening that doesn't know, I always just like to give a little one-liner on what that is. It's very different from conventional medicine, where conventional medicine is very necessary for diagnosing and treating disease. Functional medicine, it takes a different approach. It asks why. Why are things occurring in the body, abnormalities occurring to begin with? So instead of just handing you thyroid medication and saying you have low thyroid function, like they do in conventional care, functional medicine will say, okay, you might need that medication in the short term, but while you're taking it to stay afloat, let's find out why your thyroid stopped functioning to begin with. So it is a little bit different. So I had started doing some research on all of this on my own, but I will say I feel so blessed and lucky because it was actually my oncologist at a follow-up appointment who, after crying at every visit for months now with constant weight gain. And yes, I very much was ashamed of my body. It was affecting me mentally in so many ways because I was still trying so fucking hard to take care of it. I was still working out 4 to 5 times a week. I was getting my steps in. I was eating well. I was tracking every fucking almond that I ate on my Fitness Pal. And so there's a sense of shame when you're trying that hard and you're not getting any results. And so luckily my oncologist, she looked at the numbers, she looked at me, and she finally said, listen, Ashley, I hear you. I see you. I see the numbers in your chart. I'm acknowledging the weight gain. We have done everything that we can for you here with the toolkit that we have available to us. Have you ever considered naturopathic medicine? And having her say that after I had dabbled a little bit in my own research, it just completely changed the trajectory of my life. That this was a woman who I deeply respect the work that she is doing to treat and address thyroid cancer and other diseases. She's dedicated her life to serving others, but she is acknowledging to me that there is a ceiling in conventional medicine, right? And she's acknowledging where her toolkit ended and recommended I take this other path. And it completely worked out for me, changed my life.
Wow, that is I feel like that's lucky, and I feel like that's such a good doctor
Amazing.
to admit that that was the end of the road that they knew, and that there might be a different route for you. So, wow, okay. And then I'd love to know a little bit more about your journey after that. So, did you find and work with a practitioner, and then
I
that
did.
inspired you?
Yep. So I started working with a practitioner. And then as I was on my journey, I realized that there was still a part of me that I was absolutely eating up the science. Like I was asking a million questions in my appointments. I was reading and researching in my own time. I was actually enjoying it, like what I was learning. But I also realized that I'm a type A. So, I wanted some autonomy and control over the situation myself as well while I was going through it. And so I paired my own journey and working with a far more advanced practitioner with my own education to become a practitioner as well. So I did those in tandem because I just wanted to feel like when you have felt so out of control in your body for so long, finding one thing that you can have autonomy over again, it just breathes new life into you, right? And so that gave me really the motivation to continue on. And so I did them in tandem, my own education, along with working with someone who could help guide me and teach me and almost be a mentor to me too on my way.
And how did you feel when, I mean, I don't know, maybe there was a day when you woke up and were like, I feel better, or maybe it was a journey, but like, how did you feel when you were finally like, wow, I'm not insane, and now it's so much
Validated.
easier?
Oh my God, so validated. But yet it's almost like, it's kind of like how people describe pain and like pregnancy. Like my mom's always like, I never wanted, a second kid after the first one, no epidural. And then, she's like, you just forget the second you're done, like going through that, you forget the pain and you're like, oh, and it's kind of like when you're dealing with a chronic health issue, when you're on a chronic health journey and you have all these symptoms, it's almost like as they disappear, there's like an aha moment where there's an absence of symptoms, if that makes sense, where all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're waking up again without an alarm and not hitting snooze 5 times. And I had a specific morning where I got out of bed and I, got up and brushed my teeth and washed my face. And I was like, oh my God, I just woke up before my alarm. And I had historically for years been a hit snooze. My husband was always giving me shit. I'm a hit snooze 4 or 5 times girly because I just couldn't wake up in the morning. Like I was so depleted and so exhausted. And the first or second time I got up before my alarm, just naturally, and I felt good and had energy, I was like, oh, this is how we are actually supposed to feel in life. This is where our bodies are supposed to hang out every day. And I've just been so depleted for so long that I forgot what good felt like.
Wow. I bet you were like walking on sunshine. You're like, oh my God.
Like I can do anything. Oh my gosh. Having energy for your day. Who would have thought? Such an amazing feeling.
Crazy. It's so crazy that so many women, especially, I feel like, are operating not there yet. Like they haven't made it to that side. And you have a lot of resources. You help women through this, but I know that you have a free guide called Normal Isn't Optimal. And I think that's so interesting. And like, I feel like that makes sense, but what do you mean by that? And like, what's the gap? What's happening to people?
Yes. So if you've been to the doctor, your PCP, your gynecologist, you've been referred out to endocrinology maybe already, and they run your labs and they come back and they say, good news, all your labs are normal. Everything's fine. What that simply means is that your numbers sit within a very, very large reference range that are built on population averages. So you are within a range where most of the population sits. Now, within conventional care, those population averages include sick people in them. I don't know about you, but I don't really want my lab work compared to people who are on the verge of having a diagnosable disease, right? I want to be where the really healthy people are, which means the optimal range. And the optimal range is a very narrow set within the broader, wider, normal range where your body actually feels and moves its best, right? And that's what's optimal for you. There are ranges that are optimal, and I list all this out, in my lab guide, but what's optimal for you, there is some variability in that too. We're all bio-individual. But yeah, that's what it means. And I think it is such an important distinction. And I'm so glad that terminology is becoming more of a tagline on social media and whatnot, right? You see it on Threads and Instagram now, normal isn't optimal. And I want to shout it from a rooftop for every woman to hear and understand, because it's so true and it's so important.
Yeah, I've always even wondered that, like when I get my labs back and like they go in my chart or whatever, and you're like, why is my arrow like on the edge of this, like good to bad or whatever? Yeah. And you're like, what would happen if I ate one different meal that day? Like, would it be in the bad? Or like, I just feel like there's so much missing from that. That's like,
there is.
But is that still why I don't feel well, even if I'm in like this normal range that you say? So when people are coming to you, and women especially coming to you, they're exhausted. Maybe they're struggling with weight gain, brain fog, mood changes, some of these things that you also have dealt with. Yeah. Where do you start with them?
Well, I always want to hear their story first and foremost to make sure that they truly feel seen and heard, because I think when you have a 12 to 15 minute appointment with your provider in the conventional care system, so many women just leave feeling dismissed, like they have so much more to say about how they're feeling, because these symptoms tend to be multifaceted, right? Sleep affects us in so many ways. Being ragey affects us in so many ways. And we have 3 buckets of hormones, and they're all best friends hanging out all day. And so if one's off, the others compensate. And so first and foremost, I just want to hear the story. I want to hear what they have to say. I want them to actually be seen in what they're sitting with and know that they are not fucking insane. They are the expert on their body. If they suspect something is off, it probably is. And I am more than happy to hear their story and listen to that in full. The next thing I want to do before anything else is get data, and the right data with the right testing to correlate the details of what they just shared in their story with actually what the data and the numbers say, so that we can validate how they're feeling and help them understand what is causing everything that they are experiencing. So those are really the first 2 things that I do before anything else regardless of what the symptoms are and how they present, because everyone's hormone symptoms are going to present a little different. There are 3 to 4 biggies that most women probably talk about that you've heard about on social media: weight, energy, sleep disturbances, moodiness. But there are a lot of other things that go with hormonal imbalances too. So those are the 2 things that I do first and foremost.
And what about the data that you collect is different than what maybe a normal provider
Yes.
would
So
do?
functional lab testing, again, if we are answering the question of why imbalances are happening in the body to begin with, we have to take a more holistic view, because our hormones, they don't exist in isolation. So in the conventional care system, for example, when you go to your annual wellness check, your primary care doctor is going to look at 1 to 2 thyroid markers. When you go in for your annual PAP, your gynecologist is going to look at a handful of reproductive hormones or your sex hormones. No one is testing your stress hormones unless you have some kind of disorder and you've been referred out to endocrinology. But we have 3 buckets of hormones: sex hormones, thyroid hormones, stress hormones. Nobody is acknowledging that they all hang out in a group chat all day long and are BFFs, and they're constantly talking about everything that you're doing. And so we need to take a more holistic approach when we get that data to better understand what is going on that is causing your symptoms to begin with. So I do that. I look at all 3 buckets of hormones. I do it through blood as well as through saliva, which is very important. It's a distinction from conventional care in doing that. And then I also always, non-negotiable, test a woman's gut health and gut function as part of hormone function, because a lot of women don't know or understand that we actually produce, convert, and metabolize hormones in our gut. It is so critically important to your hormone function to have a gut that is functioning well and feeling good, that isn't overburdened with inflammation and other things. And so those are the areas that I start.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, it does definitely feel like oftentimes like a conventional provider is just looking at one area when there's a lot of things playing together. Like our bodies are they're complicated. There's like a lot of systems and things working together. So that's super interesting. I for people who don't know like what a thyroid does or operates and how it's affecting you, can you give a little bit of info on that and maybe what are some of the misconceptions people have about thyroids?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'll distill it down to 2 misconceptions. But first, what is the thyroid? It's a little butterfly shaped gland that sits at the base of your neck, your base of your throat. And think of it as the thermostat for your body. So it is a powerhouse gland. It's the thermostat of your body, and it really controls how well your body, how energized you are, how well your body, your metabolism is fueled, your ability to burn fat based on how your metabolism is being fueled, your body temperature plays a really critical part. That's why low thyroid girlies often tell me that they have chronically cold hands and feet, and they don't know why. Even in summertime, they'll put socks on to walk around the house at night, or their husbands are always complaining, oh, you're trying to cuddle with me in bed and your hands are always freezing. It's a low thyroid symptom. It controls your body temperature. It's supportive of your brain health and brain functionality in terms of how clear you feel and how well you're able to think. A lot of women, again, with low thyroid function will say, I always walk into rooms and I never know why I'm in there. Or I'm in the middle of a meeting and I'll forget what I'm saying mid-sentence. That's brain fog. That's thyroid. So it's really the thermostat for our body and how we fuel our body and all of the critical systems that our body is responsible for. It is a powerhouse gland for how small it is. It is so critically important to our overall health and well-being. And it's not being talked about enough. It's not being talked about enough.
Because I feel like all those things you just mentioned are just like quirky, like things that have been like normalized. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Like, oh yeah, your hands and feet are cold, even in summer, even when it's 95 degrees outside, no big deal, you know? Yeah, it has been normalized in the brain fog. Like it goes deeper than that though. And I think there's two really big misconceptions about thyroid. The first is that as long as you're taking thyroid medication, you're good. That couldn't be further from the truth. A lot of women actually aren't absorbing their thyroid medication correctly. It's predominantly inactive when you take it, which means it needs to go through a conversion process in your gut to be usable in your body. So a lot of women will take thyroid medication and still feel like shit and then have no idea why. And they're like, well, I'm taking my meds. And their doctor's only solution is to increase the dose that they take every year to try to make up for that. And so if you're on thyroid meds, that's not the end of the story. It's not as simple as just take the meds. The meds need to work for you. And there are also different types of meds that you can take. So I think that's one misconception just for women to be aware of if they are on meds. The other biggie I would say is that if anyone here is going to download my free lab guide that we'll link up, and they're going to go back and look in their My Chart or whatnot and see, well, yeah, I've been to my doctor for hormone symptoms before and said I'm tired and can't lose weight. I wonder what they ran for me to check my hormones. There is a very, very, very high likelihood that all they ran for you is what we call a TSH and a T4 lab. And what I just want you to know, you don't have to know necessarily what those labs mean, but what I want women to know is that that is not a complete thyroid panel. And if your provider is telling you that they are doing a complete hormone test for you or a complete thyroid panel for you, I want you to look at my lab guide and do a little comparison of what you're seeing in my chart and what actually should be run to give you an idea of what comprehensive hormone testing actually is, because I can almost guarantee that women are not getting what they need in the conventional system.
Yeah. Wow. Those are major, major. And I feel like the women that are listening to this podcast that can relate are women who are often like high achievers. They are business owners. They are moms. They're just busy people, and they probably live a relatively high stress life. I feel like we've seen, and I don't know the connection between autoimmune and the thyroid, but I feel like we've seen a rise of like women that are burning out and then getting literal like autoimmune problems or thyroid problems. What's the connection there?
I have so many thoughts on this. Well, there is a gut connection to autoimmunity as well. So going back to the gut, and that's actually well-published science in mainstream medical journals as well, that there is a connection between gut-related issues and what triggers autoimmunity. We know with hormone imbalances that also triggers when the body is depleted hormonally in various buckets of our sex hormones, our thyroid hormones, our cortisol hormones are totally out of whack. There can be much, much higher levels of chronic inflammation in the body as well, which goes hand in hand with autoimmunity. So I think that is a big thing. And there's still research that needs to be done on this. But you're right, we are seeing it more because the operating system that has made these type A, high achieving, high performing women, the badass business owners and moms and, the women that have had all the success in their life is also what is leading to some of that burnout, right? And I think a third misconception I'm just going to throw in here, Jaiden, because I think it's so important for that type of woman to know and hear. I think the misconception with that is, well, in order to find balance in my life again, I'm going to have to change my life. And I just want to say, as the woman who is on the other side of that badass, career, my worthiness was so tied up in my career and my paycheck. And I spent a decade before I burned down my life at Amazon and various leadership roles and whatnot, and traveling nonstop and grad school part-time and buying a house, building a house, doing all the things, and being on the other side of that now, I realize you do not have to burn down your life and overhaul everything in order to find balance, but you do need to know how to properly support your body. And that comes with getting the right testing and understanding what your body actually needs. And so I think that's a big misconception that prevents a lot of high achieving women from doing this work is they're going to say, well, they're just going to tell me I need less stress and that's not possible. Incorrect. You need the right support to manage your stress levels. I have plenty of clients that are doing all the things with big careers and kids and dogs and households and travel and, their husbands on the road too for work. And it's just about figuring out what you specifically need.
That is such a lovely take. I do feel like it's so often like there's just the pendulum of like do it all or like burn it all down. And like it's refreshing to hear that there's like other ways you can heal or support yourself. That doesn't mean like giving it all up, because like some of us don't want to. I think is
totally.
important too. Yeah. It's
I
like,
totally agree. I mean, when I quote burned it down, I also went back to school and decided to start a business. So, like type A as well here, right? So, but I still was able to lose the weight, to regrow my hair, to repair my marriage, to feel good in the process because I knew exactly what my body needed to be supported. And so, yeah, I agree. I would never want to ask any women that are high performing to give up that time with their kids or that time in their business that they love and that fills their cup. But I would say get the right data to know what your body needs, so you're not crashing and burning every day while you're living your dream life.
yeah, exactly. Or like maybe you can't even realize that you're like living your dream life yet because like you don't feel good. And so like when you do, when you know what's missing and you can work towards that, you're like, oh, I actually do like my life. It's like, I feel like when women like get off hormonal birth control and they're like, oh, I hate the person I married, or the opposite. They're like, oh, I love that. It's like that realization where you're like, I've been living in a cloud.
Yes.
Yeah. So interesting. One of the other things you mentioned was mindset and limiting beliefs. I'm just curious how those impact like the holistic journey that you help women through.
Yeah, actually, what I just shared is probably the biggest one that I would say a lot of the women that I work with are high achieving, high performing women who come to me that can relate to my story of feeling like, oh, fuck, I'm about to I need to step out of the conference room for a minute because I need to pull myself together, and just feeling on edge and not knowing why, and snapping at their loved ones and not knowing why, and feeling so ashamed, but doing all the right things. And I think the biggest limiting belief that a lot of women have is that in order to change this, they're going to have to burn down their life or start over, or, give up everything that they love in their life. And that's just so far from the truth. You really can have it all when you know what your body needs to be supported. You really, really can. I mean, my sister-in-law is one of my first clients. She lives on the East Coast. She is a mama bear to my nieces. She's incredible. She's a business owner. She's building a ranch right now. She trains horses on the side for fun. I mean, girlfriend is busy. And, for her, it's just a matter of once a year, she does a very, very abbreviated protocol to support her gut and just make sure that her gut stays in check, her inflammation levels stay in check, right? So that she can keep doing and living her life the way that she wants. And so, yeah, that's the biggest misconception. And I want to just scream it from the rooftop, because I think if more women knew that they didn't have to give up their Friday night spicy margarita. I'm a margarita girl. I'm leaving for Italy tomorrow. I will be drinking Aperol spritzes on the beach and eating pasta with gluten. You don't have to give that up, but you do need to know exactly what your body needs. And I think that prevents a lot of women from doing this work, when it could make them feel so much better, Jaiden.
Yeah, it's like the mountain seems so much bigger than it is. Like when you know the answers, it's like it doesn't have to be so crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's like, I feel like there's so many people that are going to be like, oh, thank God. Like I thought all this other stuff was going to have to happen or give up everything they love. So I love that. What, I had another question on here that I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Oh, for the women who are maybe listening and they don't have these symptoms, they're like, actually, like, I feel pretty good. What would you tell them about right now?
Yeah, I would say depending upon their age, I would say download my free lab guide anyways and just be proactive and involved, right? You don't have to know what those markers mean. But if you're going for an annual checkup every year, save it on your phone, your desktop, and just look at your lab work after. Actually just look at it and do a quick comparison. You could even upload the PDF into ChatGPT or AI of your choice and say, here are my labs, here's the optimal ranges. Tell me if there's anything I should ask my doctor, right? I would just say, know what your baseline is, because our hormones naturally decline with age, period. It's a proven fact, it's science, right? They are going to decline as we get older as women. That is just how it works. That doesn't mean you have to suffer through that process. So if you're living a great symptom-free life right now, great. Know what your baseline of great is. If that makes sense, know what your numbers are while you're feeling good, because that'll really give you a baseline. If in 2 years from now, all of a sudden, maybe some of these symptoms that we're talking about on this podcast start coming up, you have a little chat folder, project plan, right, that you can pull up and say, oh, well, 2 years ago, my labs were here. No wonder I don't feel as good right now. So I just think knowing what good feels like for you when you're in that period is a great place to be.
Yeah, especially I feel like when you get into like perimenopause and menopause and stuff like that, like that's when, I mean, I've experienced the women in my life go through some major shifts where they're like, oh, I've been healthy my whole life and now I have like all these new challenges that I'm struggling with. And is that also something that you support women with?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, most of the women that I work with are between 34 and 55. So it's a little bit of a range, but they're dealing with declining hormones. For me, I'm 39. I'm absolutely in perimenopause. My symptoms of low thyroid in hindsight, so going back to 2019, I was in my early 30s that was going on. So there's a mix, but yes, perimenopause, which is the 8 to 10 year period going into menopause, and then women that are starting that transition into menopause. It's really my sweet spot and where I work with a lot of women.
I love that. I feel like in the past, it's all just been like, even like just the stereotypes of that journey are crazy. Like it's been so just like, you're going to feel like shit. Like that's it. Like there's no solution.
I hate that message so much. It's so not true. It is not true. When I see people post about it on threads and whatnot, and they want to commiserate with other people, I have to hide those people from I'm like, no, that's not the energy that we bring into my community. Your hormones are going to decline with age. Yes, you do not have to suffer. And no, I don't want that energy. And I hate that women have historically, our mother's generation was told like, this is just how it is now.
Yeah.
No, it's not just how it is now. We have so many more options available to us now with hormone replacement therapy, herbal supplementation, peptides, all kinds of things that we can do as well naturally and with lifestyle to support our bodies as our hormones decline. You got options, girlfriend. You don't have to suffer.
You don't have to suffer. I love that you said that. Are those some of the treatments that you also present women with, depending on what their labs are saying? Like,
yes,
a lot of, I'm just curious if they oftentimes end up on a thyroid medication, or if there's other ways about it, or if it's more multiple things at once.
Yeah, there are other ways about it. So I think like for me, for example, I only have half a thyroid. So because I only have half of the gland that I need to produce thyroid hormone, I will have to take some form of thyroid medication for the rest of my life because I'm only working with half my parts. But so some women come to me and they've already had a partial thyroidectomy. They've resonated with my story and they're like, I only have half a thyroid too, or they might not have a thyroid at all anymore. And they want to do some work together. So they'll be on medication. But yes, it's multifaceted. And that's what I love about functional lab testing is it tells us exactly what we need. For some women, it is adjusting thyroid medication or a different type of thyroid medication. For other women, there are specific herbs and supplements that we can use to boost progesterone levels or to bring down estrogen levels, which is very common. Most high-performing women have what we call estrogen dominance, where they produce too much estrogen or they're holding on to too much estrogen for a laundry list of reasons, but there are supplements that we can use to bring that down, and high levels of estrogen are really correlated with moodiness, sleep disturbances, and weight gain. And then hormone replacement therapy, peptides. I have been using peptides since 2019, long before they were mainstream. I actually used them. We talked about my fall, my concussion. I actually had post-concussive symptoms. So I had vision issues for several months after my fall. And I actually used peptides as a part of my brain recovery from that injury I had in 2019. So I am a massive fan of peptides for multi things to support hormones and gut health. And so, yeah, I dabble in all of it.
I love that. I feel like when I'm listening to you, I'm like, you're a magician. Like, I feel like you like you can figure out how to like crack a code that like the others haven't figured out yet. But honestly, like I myself haven't struggled particularly with hormonal imbalances to this point, but like the people around me and the women around me, I have. And I mean, I've even talked to my husband and been like, oh man, like that's so scary. I don't want that to happen to me like, I don't want to go through perimenopause. I don't want to go through menopause. It doesn't seem fair, but it actually makes so much sense when you look at it as, okay, how can we navigate this rather than like,
Yes.
I just have to suffer with this. This is just what it's going to
Yes.
be.
Yeah, it's just like what tools do we need to pull out of the toolkit for this job in this phase of life, right? It's like we're doing a little remodel in the kitchen. Like, let's go in the garage and what tools do we need for this job today, right? And it's going to look a little different based on the layout of everyone's kitchen, but we have tools available to us, which is the good thing.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay, another question is, there is so much health information online, especially like on Instagram now, right? Like, it's constant. TikTok, like, you just a new thing every day. And I'm just curious how people can gather that information and then advocate for themselves without just feeling like there's no end in sight. Like, this is crazy. There's too much.
Totally. I think first and foremost, if you're getting health information, and obviously Instagram is a huge platform for my business, but I would say ask yourself a question when you are receiving health information on the internet. Is this post trying to sell me something, right? Is this health information that's leading to at the end, click here to buy X, Y, or Z? That's where I say, okay, I kind of draw a line. Obviously, I work with women one-on-one, right? Obviously, I sell my services and I talk about them on Instagram, but I'm not selling targeted supplements for random things here and there where I want you to click a link so I can make a commission on it, right? And so I think just ask yourself that if you're reading that information, is this trying to sell me something? Is this legitimate? And you can advocate for yourself and the care system too. I think it's twofold. Like, get the information that you need, know what information, resonates with you. If something doesn't feel good, just, move along. But one question I think every woman can ask their provider, whether it's their primary care or their gynecologist, ask them at your next appointment. If you're someone who has been getting the normal labs talk for a while, but you've been feeling like crap, ask them one simple question. And that is, if my labs are normal, but I continue to feel like crap, what is the next step? And let your provider answer that question. Because if the answer is you need to eat less or move more, or your symptoms aren't real, or let's talk about an SSRI because you have anxiety or depression, end of conversation. That provider is not willing to partner with you and be a partner to you in your health and figuring this out. I want every woman to hear this. Your symptoms are fucking real. They are real. You are the expert in your body. No one should be telling you how you feel and what is normal for you. So end of conversation. But if that provider says, well, and wants to have a dialogue with you about what else is in their toolkit, then great. But I think that is such an important question for all women to ask their providers if they are having symptoms but getting the normal labs talk, so they can advocate for themselves.
I love that. Yeah, that's just like a tell sign of like what your next step should be, like how they respond is major. Yeah. I have some rapid fire questions for us.
Oh, love rapid fire.
I think the first one we might have already answered, but I'm going to ask it anyways, and you tell me if we should skip it or not. But it's, what is the biggest hormone myth?
Yeah, I mean, we covered. I think being on thyroid medication means that you're all good, or any HRT. As long as you're on HRT, you're going to be good. It doesn't always work. Your body needs to have the conditions for it to work. So that's what I would say.
Okay. And what is the most underrated health habit?
Getting natural light on your face within the first 60 to 90 minutes of waking up every day can do so much to stabilize your mood and energy for the day. And this one is so important because in the world post-COVID, where a lot of us still work from home, get your ass outside. If it's the dead of winter and you live in Minnesota, I know it sucks, right? But open a window. You're not going to go outside when it's negative 20, but open a window, a crack, and just there's still light there. Put your face up to the light. It's so important. It's free. It's available to everyone, anywhere that you live, and we can all do it.
I'm so guilty. Guilty.
I mean, I'm same to an extent in that I don't care anymore that my neighbors will look out and see me in the yard, like in my robe, with my hair in a top knot still and no pants on yet. I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to get out. I am guilty on occasion, and I live in Seattle in the winter. It's very, very hard, but I will stick my face out the window. I will do it.
I love that. I definitely can feel the difference when I'm like, I haven't been outside today. Like I'm an indoor gremlin. It's not good.
Yes, so good.
Okay. What is one wellness trend you wish would disappear?
Okay, I have two that I just need to disappear. A fiery passion comes out of me when I hear the gym bros talking about intermittent fasting and how everyone should be doing it. Like, no, stop, full stop. If you're a thyroid girly, if you think you have a hormone problem, intermittent fasting is making you fucking worse. Please stop doing it. Anything over 12 hours is too much for a depleted system and a depleted body. It is not going to help you. So that needs to go. And then I would say supplement roulette. So having 15, 20 supplements. I had a woman just come to me. She shared with me on her intake call that she was spending like $600 a month on supplements. And I was like, yeah, that needs like, we're going to unpack that. But if you're just randomly taking supplements and you don't know what your body actually needs, you might as well just light money on fire. And also you could be actively making your situation worse if you don't know with the right testing what your body actually needs. So those two, I'll die on the hill talking about these till I'm blue in the face.
That is so much money to spend on supplements.
Insane, right?
I was like, oh my gosh, I would go to like Disneyland or something after I saved all that money.
It's big, like 4 times a day taking things. And
wow.
It's actually, though, not abnormal, Jaiden. You should see the amount of supplements people take when they come into my world, because these are
just trying to feel better.
They're trying. They're like, I'm solving the problem. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, my last rapid fire is, what's one lab marker you wish more women understood?
The TSH, because the TSH is the thyroid stimulating hormone. It is the primary marker in conventional care that your doctor is going to run to tell you that your thyroid is normal. And what I want every woman to know is that that is actually a pituitary or a brain signal. It is not a thyroid marker, and it does not actually tell your doctor how well your thyroid is functioning. The TSH simply tells your doctor that your brain is signaling your thyroid to work, but it doesn't tell us if the thyroid is then doing anything with that signal. And so I just want women to know that, because that is, if you're looking at your last set of markers, you're going to go in my chart and look this up. I guarantee you've had a TSH run within, your last several wellness visits, and you need to know that it ain't the end all be all.
Oh, that one is so good. And the last question that I always like to end on is, what is one piece of advice you wish you could give your younger self?
Your body will whisper until it is forced to shout. So shut up for a second and listen is what I would say. Shut up and slow down for a second and listen to your body, because it's talking to you, and it will get louder and louder and louder until you slow down for a second, listen to what it's trying to communicate to you.
Yeah. Freaking so real. It's so funny too. I feel like most of us, like, we know that, but like we don't listen still. Like, we know and we like hear the signals and stuff, but we're just like, no, I'm going to push through, or like, it'll probably go away, or like ignoring things until they really are like a big deal. And it's just so funny. Yeah. That is so helpful. You've been so lovely. Thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me on, Jaiden. This was so fun.
Yeah. We are going to link all of Ashley's stuff so you guys can see that in the show notes. Her Instagram, her normal is an optimal guide, all that stuff that we've been talking about, so that you can reference it. But also you could connect with Ashley on Instagram and work with her to help yourself feel better. So thank you for being here.
So happy to be here. Thanks again, Jaiden. Appreciate it.
Yep. Bye-bye.